Hello, and welcome to Around the Political World with John Rothman. I am your host, John Rothman. If you're a fan of the show, make sure to hit the follow button on the top right of Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening at this very moment. When you hit follow, leave a review or share an episode with a friend. It helps other people discover the show, keeps us going. As I like to point out each and every day, well, it expands our base, and that's the goal. All right, I want to talk with you about tariffs and Ukraine. But most important, I want to talk with you about the fact that who is president of the United States matters. We've had this discussion before. Certainly, in the late presidential campaign, I talked about the fact that who we elect makes a difference. No question. There are some who said to me, doesn't matter who's president, everything just goes along as it's always gone along. And that is clearly not true. So now let's talk bluntly about the fact that the United States of America is at war. Yes, tariffs. And what Donald Trump is doing is provoking outrage from our allies, whether it's Mexico or Canada. Canada has a new prime minister. And let me assure you, if you listened to his remarks yesterday, you know that he is clear. The Canadians are not going to be bullied. And it seems to me that what Donald Trump is trying to do is to bring the Canadian economy to its knees. And as a result, well, pick up the 51st state. It's nuts. And there needs to be a clear statement to the people of Canada and to the government of Canada that we are not in favor of what Donald Trump is doing. Now, let's talk about these tariffs. These tariffs that are going to cause disruption to our economy and to the economy of the world. Donald Trump has bought into a concept dating back to the days of Benjamin Harrison and William McKinley, that tariffs were a good thing. I have to tell you, tariffs are a double-edged sword, and we are going to see it now. Look clearly at what is happening, and you will see prices escalating, and you will see a more difficult economy, not a better economy. Now, President Trump says, well, it'll be a short-term sort of thing. We'll be a little uncomfortable. A little uncomfortable? Do you know what the Justice Department is doing now? They are investigating the price of eggs. That's right. Remember how Donald Trump pledged during the presidential campaign that he would bring down costs immediately, starting day one? Well, if you detect a certain skepticism and indeed an anger in my voice, it is clear that what this president is suggesting in terms of tariffs is just plain wrong. And you're seeing it reflected in the market. As I make this recording this morning, I can assure you the market is down. It's plunging. And there's a reason. Now, my friends, there is a second issue I want to address, and that is Ukraine. Even as Donald Trump is talking about some sort of deal in Ukraine, the Russians are attacking. The Russians are attacking, and they are attacking hard. Hundreds of missiles flying, and the aggression in the Kursk region is unbelievable. This is not a nation that is Russia that can be reasoned with or which Donald Trump can bully. At least I don't think so. It seems to me that Donald Trump is lining up with Vladimir Putin. After all, look how he has treated Zelensky. And now we know Zelensky has no choice. Zelensky has to go along. Why does he have to go along? Because if he doesn't, American aid, which is already being reduced and indeed paused, not to mention intelligence that is being paused, is going to continue. This is a disaster, and the European allies are reflecting that. Poland is very upset. Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania. Just look at the comments being made by people about the United States of America. This is something, well, horrific. And then we have another statement. Kristi Noem, a new member of the president's cabinet, has now announced that there are being polygraphed, that is, polygraph tests, are being given to anyone who they think is leaking information. I must tell you that I am so appalled by this. It's unbelievable. First of all, I don't think anyone should be required to take a polygraph test. Second of all, there are certain facts involved here. This is revenge, nothing more or less. And we're seeing that in the Federal Bureau of Investigation, where the head of the New York FBI office has been fired. Don't tell me there isn't an enemies list. Don't tell me they're not going after people. Of course they are. And this path of revenge is wreaking havoc in the United States of America. Look at the layoffs, all the layoffs that are taking place and that are crippling our country. And they are. Take a look at what happened with NOAA. The weather is certainly a major issue, and they're cutting back in NOAA. Look what they're doing in Social Security, where more and more people are being laid off. And do you know what that means? It means when you want an answer to a question, it's going to be a heck of a lot harder to get it. And you can go down the list of departments of government that are being affected. This is a president determined, I don't know what, chaos. So this is something I want to be clear about. I don't want there to be any ambiguity. This president has determined that he is going to pursue a policy that I think will ultimately cause his downfall. Oh, I want to make one other comment. One of the key negotiators in the hostage situation in the Middle East made a statement yesterday that the U.S. is not an agent of Israel. Can you imagine a representative of the Trump administration saying such a thing? We know that Israel is an independent country. I always remember Menachem Begin's wise words. We are not a vassal state. We are not a banana republic. But for this administration to adopt a policy by the chief hostage negotiator saying that the U.S. is not an agent of Israel is to me as appalling as it can get. So what is the bottom line that I am wanting to convey to you this morning? The bottom line is that the statement I've made repeatedly, that who is president of the United States matters, is clear. I believe that Donald Trump is doing tremendous damage. Oh, one other quick point. A lot of these issues are going to court, and you all know that now the Trump administration is suggesting actively that they will not abide by court decisions. This is a flagrant violation of everything I believe in terms of the American Constitution and, yes, the balance of powers. So we have a crisis. People may not see the crisis completely. And Donald Trump may be out there saying, well, there's not really a crisis. But my friends, there is a crisis. Oh, I should mention the fact that Donald Trump is now talking about the fact that Iran can settle the nuclear question one of two ways: negotiations or by military action. And military action, he means the United States of America. Do you understand that who is president of the United States matters? And whether it is tariffs or nuclear Iran or the question of Israel or, yes, the question of polygraphs, whether it is, well, you can go down the list. We now have not a friendly neighbor in Canada, but a neighbor who we have antagonized. This is, to me, unconscionable. And the American people are going to have to react strongly, because if we don't, my friends, this will continue, and the end result, I believe, will not be positive. Something to think about today, right? Thanks for tuning into another episode of Around the Political World with John Rothman. Make sure to follow along and let me know your thoughts on the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and sharing an episode with a friend or colleague so we can continue to grow and expand. That's our goal. And of course, you can interact with me on Facebook and on LinkedIn. And of course, you can email me directly. But the most important single thing I have to do this morning is to say thank you to Gogo Zoger, the wonderful producer of this podcast. She makes sure that Around the Political World with John Rothman is up and running every day. Thanks, Gogo. And as for all of you, I'll be back tomorrow with more. See you then.